Gracie, a graceful Siamese cat with sleek fur and piercing blue eyes, and Pedro, a bouncy, energetic golden retriever, lived in a cozy home nestled in a small village near the jungle. Their human Mrs. Bennet adored them, and they had the perfect balance of adventure and comfort. Gracie was known for her sharp intelligence, while Pedro was all heart, a loyal friend who would jump into any situation without thinking twice. Together, they made the perfect team. One hot summer afternoon, as Gracie lounged by the window, Pedro darted across the living room, barking excitedly at a bird perched on the fence. "Calm down, Pedro. It's just a bird," Gracie purred, a little annoyed by the constant chaos Pedro brought into the otherwise peaceful household. But Pedro's ears perked up for a different reason. From the distance, a faint sound emerged, a distant cry for help carried by the wind through the window. "Did you hear that?" Pedro barked, looking out into the jungle that lay just beyond the village's borders. Gracie tilted her head, listening carefully. "It sounds like someone needs help," she said, standing up on her paws. Her instincts sharpened, and curiosity bloomed. "But it's coming from the jungle." Pedro wagged his tail and jumped excitedly. "Let's go, Gracie! We have to help!" He darted toward the door, already eager to charge into the unknown. Gracie was more cautious. She had heard stories about the jungle. Mysterious creatures lived there, and strange things often happened to those who ventured too far. But she also knew that she couldn't ignore a cry for help. "Wait, Pedro, we need a plan," Gracie said, her voice full of reason. "Rushing into danger won't help anyone." Pedro stopped in his tracks, looking at Gracie with wide, eager eyes. "A plan? You're right, but we can't just sit here." Gracie sighed, knowing that Pedro's enthusiasm was uncontainable. "Fine. Let's get some supplies and tell Mrs. Bennet where we're going. She needs to know that we're off to explore the jungle." Together, they grabbed a few essential items. Pedro's trusty collar with a flashlight attached, Gracie's small leather pouch to carry supplies, and a map of the jungle that Mrs. Bennet had hanging on the wall. The map had always fascinated Gracie. It was filled with strange markings and areas marked as danger zones. They decided to follow the safest route. With one last glance at the cozy home they were leaving behind, Gracie and Pedro stepped into the dense green jungle. The jungle welcomed them with a cacophony of sounds: bird calls, rustling leaves, and the distant chatter of animals. Pedro was thrilled, his tail wagging furiously as he bounced through the undergrowth. Gracie, on the other hand, was cautious, her keen eyes scanning every bush and tree. "Pedro, stay close," Gracie called out as she navigated through the vines and thick foliage. She knew the jungle was beautiful, but it was also full of dangers. As they moved deeper into the jungle, the cries for help grew louder. They soon discovered the source: an injured monkey hanging from a tree, tangled in vines. "Oh no! We have to help him," Pedro said, rushing forward. Gracie quickly intervened, pulling Pedro back. "Careful, Pedro. We don't know if the vines are poisonous or if there are predators nearby." But the monkey's weak whimpers tugged at their hearts. Gracie carefully climbed the tree, using her sharp claws to avoid the vines as she freed the monkey. The creature fell gently into Pedro's waiting paws. "Thank you," the monkey croaked, his voice weak. "My name is Tico. I've been trapped for hours. I was gathering food for my family when I got caught in these vines." Pedro licked Tico's face with excitement. "Don't worry, we've got you." Gracie, ever the problem solver, immediately asked, "Where's your family, Tico? We can help you get back to them." Tico's eyes filled with worry. "They're in the heart of the jungle, but there's danger ahead. A band of poachers has been capturing animals and causing trouble." Gracie's ears perked up. "Poachers? That explains the strange things we've been hearing." Pedro's tail stopped wagging. "We have to stop them, right, Gracie?" Gracie nodded. "Yes, but we need to be smart about this. We can't rush in. Let's get Tico back to his family and find out more about these poachers." Tico, now resting on Pedro's back, guided them through hidden paths and secret trails. As they moved closer to the heart of the jungle, the landscape became more treacherous. Gracie noticed the tracks of large animals, elephants, tigers, and even jaguars, making her even more cautious. "The poachers have been setting traps," Tico warned. "We have to be careful." Pedro, always the optimist, sniffed around eagerly, his nose low to the ground. "I don't smell anything dangerous yet." Gracie rolled her eyes. "Pedro, you wouldn't know danger if it was staring you in the face." But as they trekked further, they encountered their first sign of trouble, a massive pitfall, camouflaged with leaves and sticks. Pedro almost fell in, but Gracie grabbed him by the scruff of his neck just in time. "See, Pedro? We need to be more careful." Gracie scolded him gently, though her heart was racing. They continued with even greater caution, dodging traps and avoiding the sounds of distant poachers. At last, they reached the heart of the jungle, where Tico's family was hiding in the safety of the treetops. His family greeted them with gratitude. They were a large troop of monkeys, all anxious about the growing threat of poachers. Gracie and Pedro knew they couldn't leave the jungle until they had helped stop the danger once and for all. As night fell, Gracie sat with Tico and his family, formulating a plan. "We need to outsmart the poachers. There are too many of them for us to face head-on." Pedro, who was playing with some of the younger monkeys, ran over. "What if we set traps for the poachers? Turn their own tricks against them?" Gracie thought about it. "That might just work. We'll use the jungle to our advantage." With the help of Tico and his family, they spent the next day preparing traps, setting up distractions, and creating barriers to lead the poachers into the deepest parts of the jungle, where they would be lost and disoriented. Gracie directed the plan with precision, while Pedro used his strength to dig holes and set up obstacles. By dusk, everything was ready. All they had to do was wait for the poachers to make their move. As night fell, the jungle grew quiet. Even the animals seemed to sense the tension in the air. Gracie and Pedro lay in wait, hidden among the trees with Tico's family, watching for any signs of movement. It wasn't long before the poachers appeared, 4 men with grim faces carrying nets and cages. They moved quietly through the jungle, unaware of the traps that lay ahead. Gracie's keen eyes spotted them first. "There they are," she whispered. "Remember the plan. We wait until they're deep into the traps." Pedro's tail wagged slightly, but he stayed still, a rare moment of calm for the excitable dog. The poachers walked right into the first trap, an area covered in vines that suddenly sprang up around them, tangling their feet and pulling them to the ground. They struggled and cursed, trying to free themselves. "That's our cue," Gracie whispered. She and Pedro sprang into action, running around the trapped poachers, causing confusion and leading them further into the jungle. Every time the poachers thought they had escaped one trap, they fell into another. Deep pits, swinging vines, and cleverly placed obstacles turned the jungle into a maze they couldn't navigate. Finally, as dawn began to break, the poachers found themselves surrounded. Gracie, Pedro, and the monkeys appeared from all sides, cutting off every possible escape route. One of the poachers, desperate and exhausted, dropped his net. "Let's get out of here. This jungle's cursed." With no other option, the poachers fled, abandoning their equipment and leaving the jungle for good. With the poachers gone, peace returned to the jungle. Tico and his family were safe, and the other animals could roam freely once again. Gracie and Pedro, though tired from their adventure, were proud of what they had accomplished. They had saved not only Tico's family, but countless other animals from the cruelty of the poachers. As they made their way back home, Pedro was already planning their next adventure. "I can't wait to tell Mrs. Bennet. Maybe we'll get a special treat for being heroes." Gracie smiled, her heart full of satisfaction. "Yes, Pedro, but let's enjoy the quiet for now. We've earned it."